Caste census. Where can we use this article? We can use this article in GS1, Indian Society, and GS2, Governance and Welfare, Social Justice part. What is the caste census? Why do we need it? Why did the cabinet approve it? What are the challenges associated with this? And what are the takeaways from essay standpoint, Indian society, GS1 standpoint, policy standpoint, ethical standpoint, and also if you have sociology optional, we can see how it is relevant for sociology and also for prelims. So this is the ambit of this article, the scope of this article, and the lens through which we will look at this article. Let's see. This is from the Indian Express explained section that I've taken this article and I'm extrapolating it to other dimensions which is beyond the points given in this article. Now, the government has decided to hold a caste census along with the upcoming census. You know that in 2021 we were supposed to have a census. In 2021 we were supposed to have this decadal census, but it was delayed because of the COVID. Every 10 years we use this census as a metric to change our policy direction. The ultimate aim of any welfare government is to redistribute the resources equitably, so that in our case, for example, we have this Gandhi's talisman which says that even the last mile service delivery should be ensured. The philosophy of Gandhi's talisman. Unless and until we have an updated data, it's not possible. So there have been demands about this caste census because ultimately when we are talking about redistribution, it should reach the most needy sections. And access to resource is a way of social mobility. The end objective of having a caste census is to ensure a casteless society. Annihilation of caste, as Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, our constitutional founder, like the founding member of the Republic of India, we can say, who conceptualized this whole affirmative action through Article 15 and 16 and said that this is how we have to move forward to ensure the vision of annihilation of caste. But are we actually realizing that? Let's see. Please note that these are some pointers which can be used. The bolded letters can be used in prelims exam. What is caste census? By definition, what is a legal definition? It includes all castes. Okay? It is the counting of all the castes, including OBCs, during the national-wide census. Remember that after independence, we were only enumerating the SCs and STs, not OBCs. The last time we have had any update on the OBC population of this country was after the Mandal Commission. So post Mandal, we have seen how the national politics have changed, and that has been one of the concern with this caste census. So they have not been collected under any official census since 1931. Please remember that. So the Census Act of 1948, this can again be questioned in prelims. Census Act of 1948 governs the principles of census process, and this is a union subject. Conducting census is a union subject. Then you might be wondering, how did Bihar conduct the caste census? It's not a caste census, it's a survey. The methodology of conducting can be the same, but it's not meant to mandate any allocation of resources or anything. It's for state level planning only, and it is upheld by the High Court of Patna. But remember that census is a union subject, entry 16 of the union list. You also have the socio-economic caste census, which was last conducted in 2011, but the data was flawed, so they only took the economic and indicators of that for targeting some poverty alleviation programs. They did not release this data. With this context, you can see how prelims questions can be asked, confusing prelims questions. Let's see. Firstly, we'll see that the caste survey was not conducted by Bihar under this caste census. You also have this one more thing. Let's say, for example, subcategorization. Let's say if there are let's say for example, 100 citizens who are categorized as OBCs. Within that, a group A will have roughly 30 population. B will have 10, C another 10, D another 10, so on and so forth. It's so possible that the numerically advantaged group, which is categorized as OBC, will take away all the benefits of reservation, and these groups will remain marginalized. Therefore, in 2017, Rohini Commission was set up to identify subcategories within OBCs so that all of them get equitable benefits. That is the funda behind subcategorization, so that we can target our schemes properly. And then we have one more point which is given in the article, that Parliament previously said that we don't have any intention of officially enumerating the OBCs within our country. But then that has changed with cabinet approval. So what are the usually made mistakes in prelims exam? Firstly, is it conducted every 10 years for all social groups? No, that was not how it was. The last time we conducted a OBC enumeration was in 1931. The Census Act 1948 mandates the collection of OBC data. No, that's false, because it does not mandate. SC's Socioeconomic Caste Census 2011 is currently used for reservations. Again, a misconception. It is not even released because there were some flaws in the data. Now, let's come back to the issue. What is being demanded? Like I told you, due to the demand of equitable resources, we are having this need to have a caste census so that the historically disadvantaged communities will see some benefits from this. Why is the government considering this as a policy? Because, for example, you need to have granular level data for exact policy driven making. In the age of data and artificial intelligence, data becomes a prerequisite for targeting our policies efficiently. For that reason, the government is considering this. Secondly, SC and ST caste-wise data exists. It does exist. But OBC, we don't have proper data on that. The last time, like I told you, was during the Mandal Commission, which is not enough. And then Article 15 and 16, which talks about representation under the right to equality, if that vision has to be realized, we also need to have a clearer picture. So we don't know unless and until we find out. We can't exactly create that vision. You cannot fix anything that you cannot see. Now, what is the problem here? Here is where this concerns can be looked at through some sociological lens. Also, this keywords which I'm using here can be directly utilized in your answers, whether you are a general studies student or a sociology student. The first one, what is the conflict? See, data is about truth. But what you do with that truth, that is the consequence, that will determine the outcome. Our actions determine the outcome, not the truth alone. Firstly, what is the problem? Politicization of caste. You can use this exact phrase in your answers. The first problem is the risk associated with identity politics. See, when we are trying to create a caste census, it's like permanently, sometimes there is a danger of permanently saying that, this is our right. So this identity politics will further fragment our Indian society. That's the first risk. Then we have data weaponization. See, when you have data like this, it can lead to social engineering, manufactured identities, manufactured realities in a world where social media has such pervasive influence. It can create further fractures in the society. Next up is the operational overload. See, we have already talked about 2021 census being delayed due to COVID. This is 2025, and we are yet to have an initiation of these proceedings. This is only going to add further load. But again, having said that, this is not much of a concern. The larger concerns are different. Next up is the legal uncertainty. Firstly, the government has had this official stance that we are only concerned about the SC and ST enumeration. But what is the legal backing for this OBC? Are we going to amend the 1948 Census Act? We are yet to have a clear-cut stance on that. So you can use these keywords in your answers. Okay, like I told you, please use these keywords. Freezing identities. There is a risk of freezing identities or essentialization of caste. What does this mean? If you are saying that caste is a reality and you are giving it legitimacy through government actions, there is a risk of saying that there caste will become a permanent axis of state engagement. So this is exactly in contradiction to what Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had as a vision for this country: annihilation of caste. Next, bureaucratization of inequality. See, when you are saying that this is your identity for generations together, you are actually institutionalizing that inequality, and you are moving towards caste as a permanent structure rather than annihilation of caste. In this context, a previous Supreme Court judge also said that when we are talking about affirmative action, that is any action that is meant to empower the people, reservation need not be the only way in which you move towards affirmative action. We can also do something more enabling where people no longer see the need for reservation as a tool. The state should move in that direction. That's what the Supreme Court judge said. But census, when it includes caste data, has a possibility of moving in the opposite direction of the intended objective. Then there is this risk of recognition without redistribution. What will happen when you just recognize and don't take any action to overcome that? It will get institutionalized for generations together. We cannot provide enough number of government jobs to meet the needs of this country. We need to provide employment. So the lower rungs of the society who are historically disadvantaged, they cannot just depend on government resources and government jobs to see social mobility. We need something beyond that. Access to education and government jobs alone will not solve this problem of caste inequalities. We need to empower them. That's what this problem is all about. Then we already discussed this electoral fragmentation and strategic backwardness. You can use these keywords in your answers, and that's the reason I'm talking about it. So the caste census can evolve from being a diagnostic tool to a permanent administrative identity regime. You can use this entire phrase directly in your answers. That is a very big risk. Do we have any data pointers to support our arguments? Yes. If you take a look at this, after the Mandal Commission was implemented, the recommendations of the Mandal Commissions were implemented, we have had almost 5,000 castes which have petitioned to be recognized as backward. So this phenomenon of mandalization of politics can sometimes lead to majority groups or those groups which have numerical advantage. They hold the state into ransom, and sometimes they ask that they be recognized as OBCs. Sometimes they might be justified, sometimes they may not be. Between 2015 and 2020, there were many protests whether it is the Patidas in Gujarat, Marathas, Jats, all of them who were considered to be not so backward, either in terms of the social standing they have in those respective states or through economics, they have been demanding this OBC status. So, identity of caste will become a source of political capital. That's a danger. Take a look at this keyword. Caste census might escalate competitive victimhood. You can directly use this. Caste census might escalate competitive victimhood. So these are the dangers or perils of having a caste census. Nevertheless, if the intent is in the right place, if you are moving towards the end objective of annihilation of caste, and if we empower the people in such a way that we no longer feel the need to discriminate between different caste groups, the reality of caste census can be something else, probably a century from now. And that's the vision with which we have to move forward. And for that to happen, we need to have data privacy, built in mechanisms with enough checks and balances that this data is not misused. So that's the scope of this article. I hope you enjoyed the session. That's it for now. Thank you.